big boy. Good. Good evening. Welcome to the West Jordan Planning Commission for January 6, 2015. We do have all members of the commission present this evening. We have a couple of business items before we jump into our regular agenda items here. First, we need to do the oath of office for our two new commissioners. So if you two would kindly join Melanie down there, she will get you sworn in.
Or she will swear. She will want to do it.
And that's the first and last time that pen will ever be used.
Yes, that's right. We're going to put it in a frame.
Goes to the city archives.
It was a massive city archive.
I think it's a drawer.
Well, welcome aboard to our new commissioners. Our other business item that we need to get out of the way tonight is the election of chair and vice chair for 2015. So I will open the nomination for chair. Commissioner Pack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to nominate yourself, Chairman Laws, for re-election for this year.
I will accept that nomination. Any other nominations?
Do you have to second?
Yeah, you seconded.
I'm morally opposed to unopposed elections.
Okay. So, any other nominations?
In which case I'll nominate Commissioner Pack.
Okay. Accept that nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Okay. Anybody else? In which case we do need to vote. Is there anybody who would feel uncomfortable with an open vote, or would you like a secret ballot?
Secret, please. No.
Anybody?
I'd say secret.
Okay, we got a couple of secrets, so Julie threw out a couple little diamond reel sticky notes here. So you're voting for chair at this point. We kindly fold that in half and pass it to your right.
Bring on down the road.
The voting is 5-2 in favor of Commissioner Laws.
Excellent. Thank you.
Congratulations.
We'll then open nominations for vice chair. I'm going to throw out Commissioner Pack's name for that.
Thank you. I would gladly accept.
Okay. Bill, do you have a nomination as well?
No,
I thought I saw somebody's like.
you did.
Oh, okay. Any other nominations for vice chair?
Let's go with Zach.
Okay.
I accept. Thanks, Sophie.
Any others? Very well. Let's go ahead and vote on that.
Good to see you, Melanie.
the voting is 5-2 for David Pack, Commissioner Pack.
Excellent.
I'm honored. Thank you.
All right, well, that wraps that up. We got one more business item, I guess we'll throw in right here, is we need to appoint this evening a commissioner to the CDBG committee, which will be starting up soon, and Commissioner Heiner was very gracious to accept that appointment, so I get passed on to City Council as well. And then we have one other item, which is the minutes from the December 16, 2014 meeting. Entertain a motion for the minutes.
I'll
So
move to.
moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Heiner, second by Commissioner Jacob. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Which brings us to our one and only public hearing for the evening, which is the SNK Machine Greenwood Subdivision, 8134 South, 1300 West, amended final subdivision plat in an M1 zone. Bush and Gudgel Incorporated. Dave Mortensen is the applicant. Is the applicant present? The time is now yours, sir.
Actually, Stacy Young from Bush and Gudgel. Dave is sick today, so I'm here pinch hitting as best I can. Fairly straightforward application to amend the plat for this subdivision to clean up a few issues, and I think it's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to fill them.
Any questions for the applicant?
I have one quick one. When you say clean up issues, what?
There was, I'm not sure if I want to go into a great deal of detail. What we're proposing is to add on to a facility on one of the existing lots, and there was a slight overlap that we had to clean up in terms of the right-of-way dedication. There was a 3.5-foot strip that had not been dedicated in the roadway, and so we're resolving that and adjusting the lot lines so that the facility fits properly on what will be the amended version of the plot.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? We'll save you some time after the public hearing if there's anything you would like to address. Mr. Gardner.
So for the commissioners not aware, SNK is an 8134 South, 1300 West. It's a part of the Greenwood Industrial Park that was approved in 1980. It was a lot that came, the building's newer than that. The actual original building, you can kind of see the outline of the roof. This is the original building. There's been an addition in 2006, and what they're proposing is another addition at this point. There's a lot line that runs right here. That with this amendment, we'll amend the lot into one lot, and as Mr. Young said, there's a portion at the bottom of the screen that has never been dedicated to the city that actually is in the right-of-way. It's actually paved, part of the sidewalk, part of the pavement of and that needs to be dedicated. And the only way that can be done is by a major subdivision, or at least by our process. It's not the only way it can be done, but that is following the process would be to dedicate property to the city, would go through the planning commission in a major subdivision. This is part of a site plan approval for SNK. That doesn't need to come with you. That's all administrative. But what they want to do is add on a 7,000 square foot warehouse to the south of the building and continue their business in their location. Staff recommends approval of this subdivision with the conditions outlined in the staff report. Do you have any questions for me?
We have one for sure from Commissioner Jacob.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. On the future land use map, if you have that available to the big screen, the parcel in question, the additional parcel in question, overlaps on this parcel over open land that has to do with Bingham Creek.
Yes.
Is that kosher?
Well, the building has a required 25-foot setback from the bank of the creek. It's a county floodway, and so well, it's not unkosher to do this type of thing. That would leave space for a trail that would actually be in that green spot if that was to occur, or when that's to occur. And so the building will not encroach into that parks and open space at all, because it's already set back, and we're not changing the map. All we're doing is approving a subdivision. So.
Okay, I was just wondering if we needed to do a future land use map amendment because I didn't know if we could zone an M1 in a parks and open land.
It is right now, yeah. It's zoned that right now. And so, well, the land use map that sets aside the future use, what the city wants to use that property for. And, I think eventually it will be, a trail will go down that. It'll probably line up with that creek. I don't know where it goes from there, maybe 1300 West, but it kind of dead ends. Unless it could go through the Conservancy District somehow to get to the Jordan River. But,
Right, yeah, it's on the map there.
yeah.
Okay, I just was curious about the preservation there of the future open space.
Yeah, the building will be set back 25 feet from the top bank of the creek, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Hearing none, now open this meeting to the public. If there's anybody who would like to comment on this item, the time is now yours. We would invite you to come forward to the microphone, give your name and phone number in case there's any follow-up that needs to occur, and you will have 3 minutes. Seeing none, we'll then close the public hearing and bring it to the Planning Commission for further discussion and a possible motion. Maybe we'll skip the discussion and go straight to a motion. Commissioner Pack.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the findings set forth in the staff report and upon the evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission approve the S&K Machine Greenwood subdivision amended final subdivision plat located at approximately 8134 South, 1300 West, subject to the 2 conditions listed in the staff packet.
Second.
The motion by Commissioner Pack, second by Commissioner Rice. Any discussion to the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0, which concludes our agenda for this evening. Tom, do you have anything else for us?
Just as we talked about in the pre-meeting, we're proposing to make some minor changes to the composition of the Design Review Committee. The changes would keep the same 5-member team. At least 2 members of the committee shall be professionals in the fields of architecture, landscape architecture, urban planning, urban design. The substantive change is 2 shall be appointed from the Planning Commission, one or more whom may be a professional meeting the criteria of that section. If that's all right, if this is okay with the Planning Commission, may I report back to the City Council that the Planning Commission believes that we would be able to fulfill 2 positions in the future?
Commissioner Pack?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just curious what the qualifications would be if we would have someone qualified. Well, 2 out of 7 qualified to serve. Well, when you're saying that we need to meet certain qualifications.
Well, no, I mean overall overall 2 members out of 5 we're seeking to have some design background. The planning commissioners, as long as they live inside the city limits, can serve as part of the other 3 positions.
Great, thank you. And the time commitment would be once a month?
Time commitment is about once a month. I think we meet on the 4th Tuesday at 5:30. Is that right? If we have business, it's on an as-needed basis when we have developments that require a design review. Mostly those include multifamily, office, retail, you know, some of the non-residential uses. And it's really to compare those applications with design guidelines for the city. And there's a section in the zoning ordinance that also talks about urban design with design guidelines as well. So, you know, there's a combination of those that are embedded within the zoning code and those that are a separate set of guidelines.
Well, that seems really convenient. It's on the same day and time that we normally be meeting anyway, so, right, thank you.
Can our one member who's already serving 2 roles count as one of those?
I believe that can be so, yes.
Canon would.
Just need one
And I don't
role.
think we're looking for an appointment tonight. I just want to report back to
Sure.
the council. If they go down this direction, you're comfortable with it.
I'm not opposed to it. Anybody have any?
Is that like a one-year
Service.
commitment? Does it
Yeah, you could
rotate?
switch it off as often as you wish,
Well,
but 1 year would probably work best.
question on that, what is the term of office for a normal, isn't it a 3-year term normally?
Oh, I'm sorry, it is a 3-year commitment.
So,
But if it's a planning commission appointment,
yeah, so that's,
but if that individual's planning commission term were expiring,
right, that's.
how does that impact
So
that
you have
appointment?
your terms may not be coincidental.
I don't think they have to coincide.
But then, so for example, if I were to volunteer for this year, being my 3rd year on the commission, and let's just say I didn't do another term on the commission, 1-year term on this commission, but then I'd be appointed to a 3-year term on the design review committee based on being on the planning commission now. So the planning commission would then have to appoint somebody else for next year from amongst their
Right.
body, so there's 2 of them, but I would still be serving.
You
as
could
the-
still
okay.
serve as a citizen member, yes.
I'm just trying to work out the logistics.
For 1 year.
Assuming there's a
For 2 more.
vacancy for a citizen member, what if there isn't a vacancy for a citizen member? Okay, then you'd be done.
That'd be off the hook,
Okay.
theoretically.
Would it be possible to have language be in whatever resolution you're tendering, that's, if it's appointed from the planning commission, that can be a 1-year appointment? And then that could rotate or be renewed, as opposed to committing to 3 years?
Perhaps. So far it's scheduled on consent tomorrow night, so I hadn't anticipated making any changes.
Because personally,
It
I
gets
wouldn't
full.
mind making a commitment for 1 year, knowing that I'm gonna, but, you know, to have another 3-year commitment might be tough, given all the other things that we do. Thoughts or?
No, I agree with what you both said there. I think it's just a little bit confusing as to how long everybody is appointed and for
Right,
where and from where and.
right, because for example, if you appointed, let's just say there were 4 new openings on the committee, say Sophie's the senior member of the committee, there's 4 new openings, because it's a 5-member committee, right? There's 4 new openings, we filled them all right now, but then the other planning commissioner's term ends, you know what I mean? So, then you have 5 sitting members, but only 1 planning commissioner. Just wondering.
Yeah, it seems like it makes sense that if you're a citizen member, it's a 3-year term, but if you're serving a dual role appointed from the planning commission, that can be a 1-year term.
I believe other committees have city council people appointed to the committees. Now, they're only ex officio, so they don't vote, from what I understand. But they're appointed to committees on an annual
It's on a
basis.
yearly basis, yeah.
So this, the only difference here would be, it would be a voting position. So it'd be similar to that, but different.
I don't know how council would feel about pulling that from the consent tomorrow night and discussing this further.
Hashing out the details.
Guess we'll leave that to the council members to decide.
I think it would require a big city code change to make a one-year appointment. I don't know if it would or not.
That's kind of my,
You just change the makeup of the committee to be three-year terms and then two.
Which is a code amendment. I guess it's gonna be a code amendment anyway.
Because you're making an amendment anyway, right? So we can just add this language in there that if you're appointed from the planning commission, it's a renewable one-year term.
So the makeup of the committee is three-year members and then two one-year appointments from the planning commission.
Yeah,
well, there's two things, I guess. One, talking with Robert here, it seems like we think we have, the default is 3-year term, but I don't think that necessarily you have to be able to serve a full 3 years to be appointed. But if you'd like to add some additional language into it, I'd be happy to amend this ordinance and then send it out tomorrow if that would make you feel better.
I think it would just make sense and be clearer for all concerned. It's my 2 cents.
Commissioner Beck?
Thank you, and I think, and maybe it's just me, but with how time-intensive planning commission already is, it might be easier on the mind of someone to think, okay, I'm making a one-year commitment instead of, oh boy, I'm making this 3-year commitment on top of what I'm already doing. I don't know if anyone shares that same philosophy, but I think if the time frame is shorter, even if they might renew all 3 years, but I just fear that someone might feel like they're having to quit. So just anywhere that I've served and there haven't been defined term limits that are somewhat shorter, people might have to stop midway, and it gives a sense of failure, hey, I'm quitting, or but I understand how sometimes it takes a year to really have the training and know what you're doing. How long have you served, Commissioner?
I've been on for a year now.
First year.
For the second half of the year, we haven't had any meetings. So.
I mean, did it take you a while to feel like you were up to speed to make knowledgeable decisions?
A little bit, yeah. I think that's normal.
I think one other alternative is every year we have 2 new 3-year commissioners appointed. It could just de facto be our new guys.
Says the old guy.
For the record, I'm opposed to that. That's now on the record. Well, I don't know if that's the feedback you wanted, but you sure got some
That's
feedback
good.
there.
No, that helps. I appreciate that. Why don't we suggest that we add the language in there that the planning commissioner is a 1-year appointment.
Sounds good.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Because in a similar fashion, the CGB meetings were great, but I don't know if I'd want to do those for 3 years. But it was awesome for a couple of
It's a good
months.
experience. You need to rotate a little bit.
Right, that way council members can expand their experience, or commission members.
All right, anything else from the commission?
make a motion to dismiss.
Okay, in opposition to that,
That's what I'm looking for.
then we stand adjourned until January 20th, 2015.
Inauguration day.